Today, I'm going to walk you through every Google Ads bid strategy available right now and rank them from best to worst on my very own custom tier list. I've got all the Google Ads bid strategies up here on my screen, and I'm going to rank them in descending order from S tier, being the best, all the way down to poo tier, based on how powerful, profitable, and useful I think each bid strategy is. I'll also talk a bit about which situations each bid strategy is useful in, and we'll also do some basic summaries of what each bid strategy actually is. In terms of the rankings I am about to do, these are just my personal opinions, and other people might have different opinions. That's all good, everyone can have their own opinion, but this video is my one. Alright, so without further ado, let's dive straight in. Okay, so first up, S tier. Let's start with the best and work our way down from there. And for me, working primarily with e-commerce clients across the world, I think S tier for me, the first thing I'm going to put in there is TROAS or Target ROAS. Target ROAS, it used to be called Target ROAS. Now you might recognize it as Maximize Conversion Value is the bid strategy name. And then you click the button to set a Target ROAS underneath. I myself and most of us in the industry, we just shorten this to Target ROAS. It's much easier to say than Maximize Conversion Value with a Target ROAS. Let's just call it Target ROAS or TROAS for short. I put this in the S tier because super powerful bid strategy. It automatically optimizes for your return on ad spend, which means this bid strategy is optimizing for revenue, actual revenue acquired from the clicks that you get. This bid strategy is pretty much for e-commerce advertisers or anyone who is selling directly through their website, not for lead gen advertisers. For e-commerce advertisers, this bid strategy is the closest you can get to a bid strategy that is optimizing for your true business goals. Now, obviously, our true business goals are not necessarily just revenue or return on ad spend. Our true business goals are gross profit, net profit, profit at the end of the day. So there's still a bit of distance between what Google is optimizing for and what are our true business goals. And that little bit of difference there between Google's goals and our goals are exactly why you need expertise in Google Ads management in order to properly manage things to achieve your true business goals. But Target ROAS, it's just great. It's super powerful. It beats manual CPC optimization hands down 9 out of 10 times, I would say. And the 1 out of 10 times where it doesn't win versus manual CPC, it's normally for a good reason that you can spot ahead of schedule. For example, if you don't have good data, if you don't have good conversion tracking, if your revenue reporting isn't properly getting fed into Google Ads, if there's something wrong in your tracking setup, then TROAS probably isn't for you. If you're a lead gen advertiser and you're not tracking revenue in your Google Ads campaign, TROAS isn't for you. But if you are tracking revenue, if your revenue reporting is set up correctly in Google Ads, then this is probably the best bid strategy. And the one time it doesn't beat manual CPC as well is, for me, a fairly niche case is when you don't get many conversions. So okay, maybe TROAS isn't the best if you're getting like 5 conversions per month. It needs quite a few conversions to work. I would say at least 50 conversions per 30-day period in order to work properly. But if you meet that criteria, if you're selling stuff directly on your website, and if you know how to manage the bid strategy properly, TROAS is pure S tier, and it's normally where I aim to be on all my e-commerce accounts. Secondly, we're going to put this in S tier as well. Depending on what advertiser you are, the TCPA option, which is Target CPA, might be here. So I'm actually going to do these tiers in order. So if it's at the left, then it's better than at the right. So I would put Target ROAS to the left, Target CPA a close second. If you're a lead gen advertiser, then probably Target CPA is top. Whereas if you're e-commerce, Target ROAS is top. Target CPA is top for lead gen. It optimizes to your target cost per conversion. Actually, if you're lead gen, there is the option to do Target ROAS. You can insert the value of the lead into the revenue field in Google Ads, and then you can use Target ROAS even for lead gen. This can be a useful approach if you have multiple different lead types on your website. And each of those lead types have a different value. Like, let's say you have a SaaS, a software as a service, and one of your lead types is someone booking a demo. right? They want to get on the call with your salesperson and have a demo of your software. Now, you might conclude that the value of that lead is much higher than the value of someone downloading a free PDF guide. Both of them are valuable to you, but maybe the PDF guide is only worth $10 to you, whereas someone booking a demo might be worth $60 to you. So situations like that, where you have different lead types on the site, and you have a really good estimate of what the value of the lead is, you can input the lead value into Google Ads, then use TROAS. And if you have a really accurate reading of the lead value, then even as a lead gen advertiser, I would put TROAS top. But most lead gen advertisers don't have a very good calculation for the value of the different leads. It's all a bit muddy and unclear. Tracking leads from lead to sale can be really tricky, even for the best of us, right? Because these systems don't often work well together. So to make it simple for lead gen advertisers, I would say target CPA, S tier, beats manual optimization, as long as you have more than 30 conversions per month, I would say, for target CPA. There's one less variable for Google to optimize for, meaning it can get away with a few less conversions per month. You only need about 30 conversions per month to make target CPA really good and really powerful and completely blow manual CPC out of the water. So yeah, this way round for lead gen, this way round for e-commerce. And is anyone else in the S tier? Well, that's a good question. Next down on the list, I want to talk about these two here, max conversions and maximize conversion value, but I'm not going to put them in S tier. I'm going to put them one tier down, A tier. So A tier, we're going to have maximize conversion value and maximize conversions. And this is kind of the same ordering and the same breakdown for e-commerce and lead gen. Like e-commerce, it's going to be this way round, TROAS, then TCPA. Maximize conversion value, then maximize conversions. Because in e-commerce, we're tracking revenue. So we ideally want to optimize for a target return on ad spend, or optimize for revenue, whichever one of those two is the best for our current situation. Whereas if you're lead gen, it's probably going to go more like this. You want to do TCPA or maximize conversions. But let's switch to the e-commerce view. The reason I put these guys in A tier is that they are very good. They are maximizing either your revenue or conversions, which is good. That's what we want. And we also have control over the return on ad spend, or the CPA, when we are using these bid strategies. And a lot of people don't realize this. You do actually control the return on ad spend or the CPA when you're using maximize conversions or maximize conversion value with no target set. You can control return on ad spend and CPA. You're just doing it a different way. When you implement your target ROAS, then you're directly telling Google, I want this ROAS. Whereas when you're on maximize conversion value, you have an indirect but still pretty decent control of your return on ad spend, and that control is affected through your daily budget. So if you're running maximize conversion value, the system is going to aim to spend your daily budget and get you the best ROAS it can for that daily budget, the most revenue it can for your daily budget. A lot of people complain about getting poor results from maximize conversion value or maximize conversions. It's not the bid strategy's fault. It's your fault because you didn't know how to manage it. If you're getting really poor results, probably you set your daily budgets too high. And if you set your daily budgets really high, your ROAS goes down and your CPA goes up when you're using one of these two bid strategies. So you need to control your ROAS and CPA through your daily budget. And I think the use case for these two bid strategies is when you're starting a new campaign or a new account, you don't have a lot of data, you haven't got that 30 to 50 conversions per month yet, but you think you're going to get it soon. Start out with maximize conversion value if you're e-commerce, or maximize conversions if you're lead gen, and use this bid strategy to build up your conversion volume until you have enough conversions to move to target ROAS and TCPA. So because these bid strategies are very useful in the build-up phase, and because you can also, if you know what you're doing, you can also control your ROAS and CPA with these bid strategies. Because of that, I put it in A tier. It's not quite S tier because it's not the level of precision and reliability and control that we get with TROAS and TCPA, but it is very good because it is optimizing for revenue and or leads, which is exactly what we want. Okay, what's next? Is something either going to be third in A tier or it's going to be down to B tier? You know what? I think from now on, everything has to be B tier or below. These guys are the smart bidding strategies. So these guys are called smart bidding because the reason for that naming is these are the guys that care about either your leads or your revenue, your conversions, or your conversion value. And that's as close as you can get to your true business goals with bid strategies in Google Ads. And so these guys are called smart bidding, and I'm going to reserve S tier and A tier for smart bidding. It's like always try and go for smart bidding if you can, but there are some unique situations where you want to use one of the other bid strategies, and that is where B tier starts. So at the start of B tier, we're going to put maximize clicks there, and we want to talk about enhanced CPC and manual as well. These two kind of go together, but let's talk about maximize clicks first. I'm going to put maximize clicks in B tier because once again, it can be a useful bid strategy to get your campaign going, to start a new campaign. Like sometimes with a brand new campaign, you could start it in maximize conversion value mode or maximize conversions. Those bid strategy types aren't available in every single campaign type, so there might be situations where you want to start with maximize clicks because maximize conversion value or maximize conversions just isn't available for you, or you're predicting like a low conversion volume and you might be in one of these situations where even max conversion value or max conversion struggles as a starter bid strategy because you're getting such low conversion volume that the system just doesn't know where to bid. Your low conversion volume on these two bid strategies might result in the system, if it doesn't get enough conversions, it might bid your CPCs down to the point where you're not spending enough and you're not hitting your daily budget. So situations like that, starter campaigns is where I like to use maximize clicks. Once again, avoid the mistake of setting your daily budget too high. A lot of the people who complain about crappy results on maximize clicks are usually people who didn't understand how to control the CPC and control the results through the daily budget. So maximize clicks is good on starter campaigns when you are smart enough to control your daily budgets and keep them low, and you know that this is just a starter situation. We're going to get a ton of clicks first just so we can get some data and test, and we're going to move to a smart bidding later. If you understand all of that, then I rank maximize clicks in B tier. Next up, I would put manual and enhanced CPC. These kind of go together. Enhanced CPC maybe needs to be ranked lower than I would have before October last year. I believe it was October 2023. Enhanced CPC got taken out of shopping ads and it's now only available in search ads. I would still say it's probably better than manual. So I would do something like this. I'll do something like this. I think enhanced CPC is better than manual. So to explain, manual CPC is, you probably understand what that is. This is just full on manual. It's like the opposite to all these other bid strategies. Every other bid strategy is some sort of automated bid strategy. I would say enhanced CPC is semi-automated. It's in between manual and something like maximize conversions. It's in between those two things. It's in between manual and smart bids because enhanced CPC is allowing you to input manual cost per click bids, but then it's enhancing it by bidding a bit more when the system thinks you're going to achieve a conversion. And in a bunch of tests that I've done and that everyone's done, like generally speaking, if you're getting decent conversion volume in your account, enhanced CPC does better than manual CPC. When you're getting decent conversion volume and you're measuring it, your success metric is conversion focused. Like you're measuring the number of conversions you got and the CPA you got, or you're measuring the amount of revenue you got and the ROAS you got. When you measure it that way, enhanced CPC usually looks better than manual, so I put it in that area. Manual CPC does still have its uses these days, but I would say it's a niche case. Like AI is great. The machine-based optimization tools that Google gives us are powerful and great. Talk to any PPC manager with more than a few years experience and ask them, okay, you've got an account that's doing more than 50 conversions per month. Are you going to use manual CPC, yes or no? 99% of them will say no. I just bet you that. Okay, now we're going to get in the comments that one PPC manager who disagrees with me and is running big accounts on manual CPC. Okay, fine. Like I said, everyone has their opinion. My opinion is manual CPC has a very niche case today for most accounts. And that niche case is when your data is broken, you're not getting enough conversions into the account, or there's just some information that you know as the human that the machine just doesn't know. For example, and an example of that would be if your conversion tracking is completely broken and you have no conversion tracking, then you're going to have to use manual. If you're running an account that only gets a few conversions per month, then you might have to use manual. If there's some data on the back end, like for example, you're running e-commerce, you're only getting a few conversions per month, the very, let's say, high value conversions, like maybe one conversion is worth $10,000 to you, but you only get like one conversion every 2 months. Any automated conversion focused bid strategy might just bid you to the ground and make you do nothing. So a case like that I'd actually probably still prefer to use maximize clicks in that case. But in these cases, with low conversion volume, manual CPC has a place, and also when there's a lot of information that the machine doesn't know. So like, let's say, for example, initially your first sale is worth $10, but you know that after someone buys the $10 product, that later on they're going to come and buy $100 worth of accessories, repeat purchases, all that stuff. And that $100 LTV, that additional LTV, is not being fed into the machine, and you want to account for it. That's a time when some manual control might be needed, and something like manual CPC might be useful. As I say, it's a bit niche. I find it a bit niche. Target impression share is either poo or low C tier, depending on how you use it. In 90% of use cases, target impression share is poo tier. And if you don't know what you're doing with this bid strategy, I would put it at the bottom of poo tier, just to dissuade you from using it, because if you don't know what you're doing, target impression share can just spend a ton of money for you for no results. But target impression share can be useful when you know what you're doing and you legit have a search campaign that you want to get a certain impression share. There's 2 use cases that I have for this, and we don't do this all the time, but we do this for some clients. Brand campaigns. Let's say your brand campaign, you already know your brand campaign is getting an insane ROAS. I look for minimum 1000% ROAS on brand campaigns. Above that ROAS, and I just recommend spending all day long on brand. Yes, some of your brand clicks you would have gotten anyway, but not all of them. If you look at the studies, brand CTRs range, brand click-through rate on your organic listing ranges from about 30 to 40%, depending on the study that you use, meaning that like 60+% of people who you think you're going to get anyway on your organic brand rank listing isn't actually going to click on your organic brand. So bidding on your brand has a place. When you have that brand campaign going, I recommend looking for minimum 1000% ROAS. If you're getting like 1000, 2000, 3000% return on ad spend on your brand campaign, but your impression share is a bit low, like in these situations where your brand ROAS just really checks out, thousands of percent, you generally just want 100% impression share in brand. You just want to show up all the time for brand when it is that profitable for you. So in this niche use case, target impression share can work. It's still not the only bid strategy for that particular use case, but it has a place in that use case. Another place for target impression share is when you use the buy the market strategy. This is a strategy that we created at Big Flare for certain clients. I won't go into it too much now, but it's a strategy where essentially you want to pick the 2 to 3 top keywords in your market, and you just want to run them as a loss leader. You want to appear at the top of the search results all the time for those keywords, even if you're not making that much money on those keywords. And the idea is you want to dominate the market. Anytime someone thinks of that keyword, you want them to think of your brand. And this strategy doesn't look profitable when you look on the return on ad spend of the individual keywords, but when you zoom out and look at the whole account, it can be very profitable. Like, it can lead to uptick in sales on all your other channels when you're just doing this branding exercise on Google and dominating the top keywords in your market. So because of those 2 niche cases, I'm going to keep target impression share out of the poo tier, because it does have a place. It's just a niche place, right? And you know, if you're doing buy the market strategy, or you need to run your brand campaign to get higher impression share because it's performing really well, then maybe target impression share goes up the rankings a little bit just for that use case. But overall, it's quite niche. I don't want you to mistakenly think that you can use this if you don't know what you're doing and you're not using, and you're not in one of those specific scenarios. So let's leave target impression share down here at the bottom of the C tier. Next up, finally, we have the poo tier. And sorry, viewable CPM, sorry, cost per view. You're going in the poo tier. These guys are kind of similar to manual. Viewable CPM is kind of like manual CPC, but for the Google Display Network. And cost per view is kind of like manual CPC, but for video and YouTube. So on the Google Display Network, if you want to run things manually, you're not bidding cost per click, you're bidding CPM, cost per mille, cost per 1,000 impressions. And on YouTube, you're bidding cost per view. Now, viewable CPM on the Google Display Network is slightly better than what it used to be, which was just CPM. Google used to not care about whether the ad was even viewable. Now you only pay per 1,000 impressions where the ad was actually viewable. And a view on YouTube is not a terrible thing the way they structure it. So the YouTube video ad only counts as a view if they watched 100% of your ad, if your ad was 30 seconds or shorter, or if your ad was longer than 30 seconds, it only counts as a view if they viewed at least 30 seconds. Now, someone viewing 30 seconds of your YouTube video ad is pretty valuable. It's much more valuable than even 1,000 views on your display ads, because people have banner blindness. They don't see your display ads. You need so many views on the display network before anyone even takes notice. And when they do take notice, you've got what, like a box of that size that you can maybe put 3 words in. You don't get to communicate much. A view on YouTube is great. There's a reason why people spend millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on their TV advertising campaign. It's because video advertising is high impact. That's 30 seconds where you're going to make a real impact and have a real opportunity to persuade someone. So a view itself can be quite more valuable than you realize. People think, oh, I'm not paying for clicks, so it has no value. No. A view on YouTube has some value, but paying, so let's do it that way, okay? It doesn't really matter, but let's do it that way. Cost per view slightly less poo than viewable CPM. But even though you're only paying per 30-second view on YouTube, it's still poo because you've got better options on YouTube. You can run maximize conversions on YouTube. You can run target CPA on YouTube. Your YouTube campaigns, I think you should be optimizing for conversions, and your cost per views are going to end up much more efficient, and you're going to end up with more conversions, right? Like, you run cost per view on YouTube, you do a 5-cent cost per view. It doesn't sound like a lot, but the system will spend at a few cents per view. It sounds cheap, but it ain't cheap because you're just going to end up spending a ton for no conversions. You could spend the same amount of money but switch to maximize conversions or TCPA on YouTube, and then if your offer is good enough, if your offer isn't total garbage, then on these bid strategies for YouTube, you will probably actually get some conversions, and then the system will learn how to bid for your conversions. I just don't see the use case for cost per view on YouTube. Even if you're running a branding campaign on YouTube, I still think optimize for some sort of conversion on your site. Even if it's a low-level conversion, just optimize for something other than the view, because the view it's too broad, it's too generic a measure. It's a license to spend a ton of money on Google for no real end result. Same with viewable CPM. Viewable CPM is cost per view, but for the Google Display Network, I don't recommend it. I always recommend, even on Google Display Network and YouTube, to be focusing on conversions, because you'll just get better results that way. Like me, myself, all my clients, I'm guessing pretty much everyone I'm talking to on YouTube, we're fairly small business advertisers, and we care about sales. We're not Coca-Cola, we're not Apple, we're not these multinational corporations that just tell their marketing manager to spend $1 million on YouTube this month, and I don't even care what the conversions are going to look like. No, we're small, scrappy, direct response advertisers, and as a result, YouTube, Google Display Network, focus on conversions, please. Alright, so there you have my full Google Ads bid strategy tier list, but what do you guys think? Is there anything in particular that you agree with or disagree with? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want something a bit more serious that's also about Google Ads bid strategies, you are going to want to know how to avoid the common mistakes that everyone makes with their bid strategies. So check out this video right up here. In it, I cover all the bid strategy mistakes that everyone else is making with their Google Ads and how to avoid them as well. Check it out up here. I will see you on the next one.